This segment is brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And listen, when we have any kind of event, it doesn't matter what it is. If we have a weather system, we want to check in with everybody who are taking care of our levees. And let me tell you, they do it well. They do it all year round, and we're always glad to welcome back Angela Hidalgo. Angela, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Of course, Executive Director of Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District. Sitting next to her, Trey Middleton. Trey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Trey is the Capital Projects Manager, and we appreciate that. And sometimes Mangry, but we'll get into that at a different time. So, look, let's just talk about all of the things that you guys are doing, because I know you guys come on whenever we have a rain event, whenever we have a storm, but y'all are working tirelessly around the clock. Let's talk a little bit about some of the work that goes on, and then some of the information we want to get out to the public.
Sure. So we have 26 employees that work for the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District, and we basically maintain all of the flood control structures and the levees that we've built throughout the past several years. So they do constant maintenance cycles every month, and they basically go to each floodgate and open and close it and test it to make sure that when we do need those gates, that they're in tip-top shape.
Right. And y'all work very hard. Y'all are always doing different projects. And Trey, you oversee most of those.
Right. Constantly. The levees are in constant state of improvement.
Right.
And then obviously the structures and all the floodgates and everything has to be maintained as well.
Yeah. And so when we have some kind of event like this that's on the horizon, tell us how things kind of start for you guys. How do we kind of go into action mode?
So when we see a tropical system develop, obviously we're all eyes on the Gulf, right? So we look at these weather forecasts and we coordinate with our emergency managers, and we start watching for the path of the storm. And if it looks like Terrebonne is in any risk whatsoever, we activate our emergency team, which consists of me and Trey, obviously, but also we have a program manager and our superintendent and my operations manager, Jonathan Gautreaux. They are over the field and the floodgates. So we start identifying what parts of the system we need to focus on aside from closing just the floodgates, because the floodgate closures are the easy part.
Right.
You know, it's the other projects that are possibly under construction or need some attention prior to the hurricane.
And again, that's the part that I mentioned, is that we just think, okay, well, they're going to open or close this. Well, there's so much work that goes into the maintenance and the efficacy of those structures and making sure that they're working. But it also makes a difference about where the floodwaters are coming from, how much it rains, and in what areas, right? We've got a very multifaceted system, right, Trey?
Right. It's pretty diverse, and it spans a big area, the whole parish, into Lafourche Parish as well.
Right.
So depending on the landfall of the storm, obviously the east side of the parish is more susceptible than the west side of the parish. So we have to take all that into consideration of what's happening, what gate should close first, and then obviously when we get down to the big one, the Bubba Dove, coordinating with the Coast Guard and parish management and everybody with that one.
Right. And so all of these things it's a fluid process, right? You mentioned EOC and communicating with Earl and with the team over with the parish, just to kind of make sure that we're seeing what is needed from their side to make sure. Can we talk a little bit about how some of these bridges that are or are not working have impacted what you guys are doing?
Yeah, it's a problem throughout the whole parish.
Sure.
I mean, everybody's talking about the bridges, and hopefully sooner than later, they come back online and we can start using them. But it's definitely puts a hindrance on our ability to travel from one bayou to the next.
Right, because you guys are constantly going to check this equipment. I can only imagine that with some of the bridges that we know that are out, the hours that it's adding to your team and making that a little difficult.
Well, exactly. And also you got to think about on the response side of it. So if we did get some type of system and we did have damages, debris, just go in to check on the floodgates afterwards, and you could, it's hard to navigate around here with the roads and the trees and the power lines and things like that.
Right.
So you throw some bridge and road closures on top of that, it could get real cumbersome.
Yeah. Now you guys are always working with different groups, right? Different entities. I know we work very closely with Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. Let's talk a little bit about that process and what we kind of rely on for that.
So the parish has their EOC, their Emergency Operations Center,
Right.
and that basically has all the functions of emergency support in it.
Right.
Included in there is, the levee district, obviously, with the parish drainage department. We have the sheriff's office, we have the firefighters, Coast Guard, transportation, communications. So that's really a central hub for information sharing. That helps us a lot with our ability to respond to the storms, and it's been beneficial to us in so much that we can be the center of information, but it's also a little bit difficult for us to respond for our facilities down the bayou because it's in gray. So
Right.
we're actively pursuing constructing of a satellite emergency center on
Okay.
the east side of Houma, which will be our office facility as well as provide a safe house for up to 50 employees, for deputies and firefighters and maybe wildlife fisheries, whoever needs to be there, plus my employees, to effectively and respond to all of these situations.
What a great idea. Listen, I got to tell you, as we kind of close out this particular segment, I love the fact that we're always learning from what's happened in the past. Multiple years ago, we learned about needing an EOC and that being centralized and all of the decision makers being in one place. Another storm taught us that we need to ramp up our communications to make sure that there's good communication. Now we've learned a little bit about an ancillary office, maybe that's a little bit closer to where our lower lying areas are, to get staff and personnel out there to be able to help with the sheriff's office and those kinds of people getting to where they need to be. What a great idea. I love it. I always appreciate your insight and what you guys are doing. Let's take a short break. We'll come right back, talk a whole lot more about what y'all are doing to keep us safe.
Thank you.
All right. They're going to stick around. You do that as well. We'll be right here, right back on Bayou Time.
This segment was brought to you by A.J. Doman Chevrolet. We say yes when others say no.
3 seconds. Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. Very glad to have with us again Angela and Trey, both with the Terrebonne Levee and Conservation District. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank
you. So one of those things we talked about at the top of the show last time is that you guys are always ready. You're like the bunny, ever ready. You're always focused on what we need to do. We've already talked about having to close a couple of the gates. Let's talk about that process and how we get to that point.
So we have typical storms usually come from the eastern, Gulf.
Right.
And so depending on where they come, we identify which gates need to close first. But typically, the storm that we're seeing now is a typical storm for us. So we focus on the eastern side. We'll always close Placid Canal, the non-navigable, non-essential floodgates for navigation. We close those first just to kind of get them out of the way.
Right.
It's just one less gate we have to worry about during the middle of a hurricane. So you can see on our website, if you go to tlcd.org/mobile, there's a list of all the floodgates, and right now, as you can see, the red light indicates that it's closed. So we have Placid Canal closed. Upper Little Bayou is another one that we typically close first just because it's not essential to navigation, and it's just one less we have to do when the winds really get blowing. And then, of course, Boudreaux Canal Lock Complex is a lock, so that's manned 24 hours. So it's always on red just because it's closed. When you go up to that gate,
Right.
we'll let you in.
Right.
All the other floodgates, we have them on yellow, and that basically says that they're pending closure. And all that means is that, not that we're going to close it in 20 minutes, it just means that we're watching it.
Right.
The potential exists that we may close it. If we do decide to close these gates, we will push out notifications, which you can register for on the site, and that will give you a opportunity to see when we're going to operate these gates. So it may or may not close.
Right.
It's just that's what the yellow light means.
And they're all pending because we just don't know. Right?
don't know.
We're not sure how much rain we're going to get. We're not sure what this system's going to really do. We're going to track it here at HTV. We're going to communicate with you guys and follow up about what needs to be done. But those floodgates is just a way for people to check and see if they need to move their boats. And a lot of people are not really seeing this as that big of a deal, right? Considering what we've seen. And so they may not be moving their boats at this time. They may not be needing to navigate the canals right now, but they need to be able to make sure that they can check and see which things are closed and which ones aren't. And it's a great system to be able to do that, right?
Yes, it is. It works very well.
And so we're excited about that. But this is an ongoing process. We know that if you guys have to, let's talk about the timeline. Let's say if you had to close one of these gates, how long would we be sending out notifications?
So I'm glad you asked that because I just want people to understand that as soon as my team makes a decision to close a floodgate, we push it out on the notifications on the app.
Wow.
So there's no need for people to worry about calling me or calling Trey, or we obviously don't have time to call everybody who wants to be notified, which is why we invented the app.
Right.
So when we push it out, it probably takes 20 minutes or so to reach everybody, because I
Right.
think I have like 5,000 people subscribed to
Right.
receive text notifications on the app. But as soon as we make the decision, my staff is pushing it out. So it's disseminated to the public as soon as it possibly can be, without me having to sit down and call 500 people.
Physically do that.
Right.
So Jason and Dwayne, put that back up again if you don't mind. I want people to see what this app looks like. And again, when you log on to TLCD Floodgate, you can go in and find out what you need to do. It's right here. It's very simple. You can see the different floodgates. You can see that one is red there on that particular screen. There are two others that are red a little bit farther down. But you can put your number in to get notifications.
Yeah, it's a register icon at the bottom of the screen.
At the bottom.
Right there.
So you register down at the bottom, all the way to the right. And so to register, you just go to TLCD Floodgate Monitoring site, put your name, email, your phone number, and you register. That's how easy that is. You don't have to call Trey. He's working, I promise. You don't have to call Angela. She's working on telling Trey where to go and where to be. And they're monitoring those things. They're meeting consistently, and they don't get a lot of sleep when storms come.
No.
We know that that's how that works. So we want to make sure that we're following through about what needs to be done. I love the fact that we're not really anticipating any other closures.
Right. So this storm seems to be just a rainmaker.
Right.
We have no coastal advisory. We're not expecting any high tides. We're not expecting a tremendous amount of wind. The National Hurricane Center did a webinar earlier, and I think the highest wind was 15 miles an hour, which is a typical summer day in Louisiana.
That is correct.
We
That is
will
correct.
have some isolated rain, and it will
Right.
be heavy.
Right.
Nothing that we're, and as a matter of fact, some of the floodgates that we're not closing will allow for the rainwater to drain out. So
Yeah, so they'll be able to handle that.
Yes.
Very good. Any particular projects, Trey, that we are looking forward to here down the road for completion coming up? Anything? in your purview while we have a few minutes?
Actually, we're working on the Reach L flood wall
Right.
project that goes across the Williams pipeline corridor south of the Williams plant in La Rose.
Right.
So as soon as that's done, that'll be comprehensive coverage, levee construction all the way, from Pointe-aux-Chenes to ties into the South Lafourche levee system there. We've completed all of our scour repairs. We're currently in the process of raising H2 and H3
Right.
to 15 feet. Obviously, the lock construction is still ongoing.
Right.
And then in Montague, we're going to be raising Reach I, the upper portion of Reach I, to 15 feet as well. So.
Yeah. And as Tony and Reggie tell us, 15 is only the next stop. The next stop
right.
to 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We're not going to stop. We're going to keep asking. We're going to keep trying to find money and funds to be able to bring it up. We've funded most of it, and now that we've got the Corps kind of involved with us, we're so glad that you guys are working on those projects. So we thank y'all for the hard work that you do all year. We thank you especially for what you do during the storm seasons and what y'all are working on. And thank you to your team, by the way.
Yes.
Please pass that on, because I know that team works tirelessly as well.
they
So-
do a great job. They're rock stars when it comes to hurricanes.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank y'all both,
Thank you.
Angela,
Thank
Trey.
you.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. Got a whole lot more right here on HTV.
This segment was brought to you by Terrebonne Ford. Built Ford tough.